Good morning, afternoon or evening wherever you are. I'm Paul Clark and welcome to my studio. So what have I got for you lovely lot today? Well, definitely summer has made an appearance here in the UK and I'm feeling very summery. So I've got two tutorials for you today. The first one, some lovely fresh strawberries, and then to follow that up we've got a lovely ice cream cone. So come and join me and we'll do these two tutorials together. Okay, so here's the lovely reference photo which I got from Pixabay. And for this first demo, my materials are some Saunders Waterford Rough, £300. It's nice and thick, so it won't need stretching, but of course, any decent watercolour paper will do. Colours today, I'm not using cadmium yellow, I've got lemon yellow, cobalt blue, sap green, scarlet lake and alizarin crimson. And just 3 brushes from my range, 3/4 inch flat, number 12 and number 6 round. And here's the pencil drawing, and it's fairly straightforward, so no drawing template today. Right, off we go, and I'm starting as normal by wetting the background with some clean water using my flat brush. I'm not getting it in everywhere, but just wetting the general area. Right, so I'm after a nice bright fresh green today, that's why I'm using lemon yellow, but I'm just tickling in a little bit of cobalt blue and then dropping it straight into the wet paper, and I'm using my number 12 brush here. Of course, you know I love a bit of random splatting. And now for the dark green, and it's obviously going to have considerably more blue in it than it has the yellow. Now my plan is not to copy the photo exactly, but what I do want is a really nice soft out of focus background. So I'm dropping in all these colours in straight into the wet. And just to keep things moving, I'm giving it a light spray with clean water. And for a bit of interest, I'm adding in some cobalt blue. Okay, so now for some background strawberries, and I do find that the red is a strong enough colour to push away the green and still show through. Now I'm using Scarlet Lake here, but any bright warm red will work. Okay, so this is where I'm just adding a little bit of sap green into my green mix, just to give a bit more strength and punch to the colour. And I'm trying to put in sort of leaf shapes, but trying not to make them too obvious. So one of the challenges we have with watercolour is how to paint those yellowish seeds on the red strawberry. Now I could preserve the white paper by using some masking fluid, but nah, I'm going to make it easier by just adding some opaque medium after I've painted the strawberries. So I'm starting with my number 12 brush and a fairly wet wash of the Scarlet Lake, and I'm painting one strawberry at a time. here with a damp brush, just lifting out a slight highlight. Then I'm taking my darker red, which is alizarin crimson, and just dropping that into the wet to create a few subtle shadows. So once that first strawberry is dried, I'm going to tackle the second strawberry in exactly the same way. Next, for this unripened strawberry, which I think is a nice contrast with the red strawberries, and I'm using the same bright yellow that I used previously. And same colour again for this little leafy thing. I'm sure it's probably got a proper name. Looks to me as if it's where a strawberry's fallen out of its socket. And here I'm using a number 6 brush because you get a nice tapered point to the brush strokes. And while it's still wet, dropping in some of that darker green. Right, now too many crisp sharp edges, which can make it look like those strawberries are stuck on. So with a damp tissue I'm softly blending in a few edges. Now I always say it's the combination of soft and hard edges that makes a good watercolour. So now with my number 6 brush, I'm just beginning to put in a few little details using that same dark green. Now it's worth remembering that the seeds at the edges will be very narrow, almost like a dash, but as you come to the centre they will be fuller and a rounder shape. Okay, so now it's mixed media time. So I'm getting out my box of Faber-Castell pastel pencils and I'm going to choose a yellow-green. Now if you haven't got any pastel pencils, you could use ordinary watercolour pencils or any opaque paint like acrylic or gouache. And And now for these little tiny seeds, and I'm using a goldy yellow colour. Next, I'm just taking my number 6 brush and painting around each seed with some alizarin crimson. And I'm also increasing the contrast between the two strawberries by just putting in this dark value here. Now it's this lovely white shine which I think really brings the strawberry to life. So what I'm carefully doing is leaving that red ring around the edge of each seed, and then by reducing the pressure on the pencil I'm softening each edge so it blends into the strawberry. Then to get the punchiest, brightest white, I'm using some lovely gooey white gouache straight from the tube. Now I was going to finish there, but I have noticed because of the red in the background there's not enough contrast between the two strawberries. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to re-wet just below the strawberry here, then come in with a nice dark value green to really help that strawberry above to pop out. And the same here on this one. There we go, all done, and this one in just under 2 hours. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. So now we've got a little half-time break, so I've got some lime and strawberry cider. So coming up now is the ice cream cone tutorial as promised, but do hang about to the end because we've got some fantastic paintings from the Facebook group from one of Margot's challenges, all on ice creams, so enjoy that. So let's get started. Now there's no photo reference for this demo as it's made up from several photos, but I'm definitely going for a much looser sketchy feel with this one. Okay, so for this tutorial I'm going to be using some hot press paper, which is a paper I don't often use, but it's always good to experiment. And my colours I'm using today: phthalo blue, cobalt blue, alizarin crimson, yellow ochre, burnt sienna and a touch of burnt umber. And here is the drawing, and it's a little bit tricky, especially that hand, so there is a drawing template on my website, link in the description below. Now, I'm not wanting to make this exactly a line and wash, but I do want quite a heavy pencil line, so I'm going around and really giving the line work a nice strong feel. Off we go again with some not so cleanish water. Then, using my number 12 brush, straight in with a fairly strong mix of phthalo blue, letting it all mix and blend on the paper. A few little splats here and there. Next, I'm taking a little bit of cobalt blue, which is a nice contrast with the warm and cool blues together. Dropping it in, letting the paint flow. A few more splats. And while that's damp, I'm splatting in quite a strong consistency phthalo blue. I really want to try and get a nice funky background here. Ooh, I've got some lovely cauliflowers forming there. Okay, so next what I'm doing is splatting into the dry wash. This will give me some nice crisp edges. Next, just clean water on the ice cream bit, and then I'm dropping in a nice watery wash of yellow ochre. But not everywhere, leaving plenty of white areas. Then, while that's drying, I'm mixing up a fleshy tone of 50-50 mix of yellow ochre and alizarin crimson, and I'm really quite crudely painting it in. Quite happy to leave lots of white unpainted areas. And here, a very watery mix of burnt umber straight into that wet wash. Next, a simple flat wash of burnt sienna. Now, those of you from the UK will know exactly what this is sticking out the top of the ice cream cone. It can only be a Cadbury's flake, which officially makes the ice cream a 99. Now, I've done a little research and there doesn't seem to be a definitive explanation on how the name came about. But I'm going for my theory, and that's you have to eat 99 flakes before deciding whether you want to put one in your ice cream. For the cone here, and I'm just using a nice watery mix of burnt sienna. Now for this nice dark shadow brown, and I've just mixed some burnt sienna with some cobalt blue, but you could just use some burnt umber. And I'm now using my number 6 brush. Now for these shadows on the hand, I'm using the same brown mix, but I've just added a little touch of alizarin crimson just to pink it up a bit. Okay, now for her nails. Well, I suppose it could be a he. Got to be careful these days. And you can paint these in any colour you like. And I'm just using my alizarin crimson. And here, just lifting out that sheen with a damp brush. Now to just suggest some of these folds in the ice cream, and I'm using that same brown mix, but very light, and I'm also softening some of the edges with clean water. So next I want just a slightly cooler shadow colour, so this time I'm just putting in a little bit of burnt sienna into my cobalt blue. And again softening some of the edges with some clean water. And of course be careful you don't cover up too much of the white. Next, with my short stubby pastel pencil, I'm going to need to get a new one soon, I'm just putting in a few little highlights in the cone here. There we go, all done in about half an hour. I tried to keep this fairly loose and fresh. Well, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did, and you'll give them both a go. Now, coming up now, as promised, are some lovely paintings from the Facebook group, so please enjoy those, and don't forget to do all the usuals, liking and subscribing and all of that, and I'll look forward to seeing you all again next week for another Watercolour Wednesday. Take care now. Cheers.
Maquillada se pone bien linda. Vente, vente baby, vamos. Tú eres la chica que alegra el día. Por amor, por amor, por amor, por amor. Ella sale del trabajo, ella quiere salir con su amiga. Se pone los jeans apretados, mira las cosas que hace la niña. Por amor. Se pone loca y baila solita, busca hombre pa' que la mantenga, cada día se pone